The morning sun cast long shadows across the ancient stones of Windsor Castle as King Charles III made his way through the corridors that had witnessed centuries of royal history. It was December 23, and, in less than 48 hours, he would deliver his fourth Christmas message to the nation. The weight of tradition pressed gently on his shoulders, but, today, his thoughts were occupied by something far more personal than ceremonial duty. In the quiet of his private study, surrounded by family photographs and personal mementos, the king reflected on the year that had tested his family in ways he never could have anticipated. The leather-bound notebooks on his desk contained early drafts of his upcoming speech, each page filled with careful revisions and thoughtful additions. Among the formal language of national address and seasonal greetings, one particular passage had evolved through multiple iterations, each version becoming more heartfelt than the last. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, had begun her year like any other member of the royal family, with a calendar filled with engagements, charitable commitments, and the endless responsibilities that came with her position. She had thrown herself into her role with the same enthusiasm and dedication that had made her beloved by the public since joining the family. Her work with early childhood development, her patronage of various charities, and her natural ability to connect with people from all walks of life had established her as one of the most respected members of the royal household. But January had brought unexpected challenges. What began as routine medical procedures had evolved into something more serious, requiring extended periods of treatment and recovery. The palace had released carefully worded statements about her health, maintaining the delicate balance between public information and personal privacy that the royal family navigated daily. Behind the formal announcements, however, was a woman facing one of the most difficult periods of her life with remarkable grace. King Charles had watched his daughter-in-law navigate this challenge with admiration that grew deeper each day. Having faced his own health battles earlier in the year, he understood intimately the courage required to maintain composure while dealing with personal uncertainty. The way Catherine handled her situation with dignity, never allowing her struggles to overshadow her duties or dampen her spirit, reminded him of the very best qualities that royalty should embody. The king's personal secretary had noticed how his employer's demeanor changed whenever Catherine's name came up in their daily briefings. There was a particular warmth in his voice, a protective fondness that went beyond formal family relationships. Charles had always appreciated Catherine's approach to royal life, her ability to modernize traditions while respecting their essence, but this year had revealed depths of character that impressed him profoundly. In the private family gatherings at Balmoral during the summer, away from the public eye and ceremonial requirements, Charles had observed how Catherine interacted with her children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Even during her most challenging days, she maintained the perfect balance of motherly warmth and royal preparation, ensuring her children understood both their privileged position and their responsibilities to others. Prince William had confided in his father about the strength Catherine displayed during the most difficult moments of her treatment. The future king spoke with evident pride about his wife's determination to continue her charitable work whenever possible, her insistence on maintaining normalcy for their children, and her unwavering support for him even when she was the one who needed support most. These conversations had planted a seed in King Charles's mind about his upcoming Christmas message. Traditionally, these addresses focused on national achievements, charitable works, and seasonal reflections on faith and community. But, this year, the king felt compelled to acknowledge something more personal, something that represented the very spirit of Christmas in its truest form. The drafting process had been more intensive than usual. Each word was weighed carefully, not just for its public impact but for its personal meaning. The king's speechwriters had provided their usual excellent framework, but the sections about Catherine had come directly from his heart, written in his own hand during quiet evening hours when the castle settled into peaceful silence. As December progressed and Christmas approached, the significance of including this tribute became clearer to the king. Catherine's year had been a private struggle made public by necessity of her position, yet she had handled every moment with a grace that exemplified the best of British character. Her strength hadn't been the loud, attention-seeking kind that dominated headlines, but the quiet, steady courage that inspired others without seeking recognition. The king remembered a particular conversation with the Archbishop of Canterbury about the true meaning of Christmas gifts. They had discussed how the most meaningful presents weren't always the most expensive or elaborate, but those that came from genuine appreciation and love. This reflection had influenced his thinking about the holiday message, particularly the section dedicated to Catherine. Behind the scenes, palace staff had begun to notice the special attention the king was paying to this year's message. His usual efficiency in approving final drafts had been replaced by careful deliberation and multiple revisions. The household's senior members recognized the signs of someone crafting something particularly meaningful, though the specific details remained known only to the king and his closest advisors. Queen Camilla had observed her husband's thoughtful preparation with understanding and support. She had witnessed firsthand the deep respect Charles held for Catherine and had encouraged him to express these feelings in whatever way felt most appropriate. The Queen's own relationship with Catherine had grown stronger throughout the year, built on shared experiences and mutual admiration for each other's dedication to royal duty. The international context also weighed on the king's mind as he prepared his message. In a world filled with conflict and uncertainty, the example Catherine had set of facing personal challenges with dignity and grace offered a powerful counter-narrative to the division and discord that seemed to dominate global headlines. Her approach to adversity embodied values that transcended national boundaries and cultural differences. As the final days before Christmas arrived, the technical preparations for broadcasting the message intensified. Camera crews, lighting specialists, and sound engineers worked to create the perfect setting for the king's address. But, for Charles himself, the technical aspects were secondary to ensuring that his words would convey the deep respect and admiration he felt for Catherine's remarkable year. The king's study had become a sanctuary for reflection during these final days of preparation. Surrounded by the accumulated wisdom and memorabilia of a lifetime of service, he felt the weight of representing not just the crown but the values that the crown should embody. Catherine's example throughout the year had reminded him that true royal strength came not from power or position but from character and compassion. The evening before the recording session, King Charles took one final walk through the castle grounds, breathing in the crisp December air and gathering his thoughts for the message that would reach millions around the world. In his mind, he rehearsed the words he had so carefully crafted, feeling their weight and significance. Tomorrow, he would share with the nation his appreciation for someone whose quiet courage had illuminated the true spirit of Christmas throughout an entire year. The morning of December 24 dawned crisp and clear at Windsor Castle, with frost painting delicate patterns on the ancient windows. King Charles III awoke earlier than usual, his mind immediately turning to the day ahead. In just a few hours, he would sit before the cameras to deliver his fourth Christmas message, carrying with it the gentle tribute that had occupied his thoughts for weeks. Catherine, meanwhile, was beginning her own Christmas Eve at Adelaide Cottage, the family's home on the Windsor estate. The modest four-bedroom house provided a welcome contrast to the grandeur of official royal residences, allowing her and William to raise their children with as much normalcy as their extraordinary circumstances permitted. This morning held special significance, as it marked one of her first major family celebrations since completing her treatment earlier in the year. Prince George, now 11 and increasingly aware of his future responsibilities, helped his younger siblings prepare for the day's festivities. Princess Charlotte, with her characteristic determination and warmth, had insisted on making handmade Christmas cards for various family members, including a particularly elaborate one for their grandfather, the king. 7-year-old Prince Louis brought his usual energy and enthusiasm to everything, his excitement for Christmas infectious throughout the household. William watched his wife move through their morning routine with a mixture of gratitude and admiration that had only deepened over the past year. The woman he had fallen in love with at university had revealed new depths of strength and resilience that amazed him daily. Her ability to maintain her role as a devoted mother while managing her health challenges had reinforced his conviction that she would make an exceptional queen when their time came. Back at the castle, final preparations for the Christmas message were underway. The blue drawing room had been selected as the setting, its elegant proportions and warm lighting providing the perfect backdrop for the king's address. The room's rich blue silk walls and carefully arranged Christmas decorations created an atmosphere that was both regal and welcoming, reflecting the tone Charles hoped to achieve with his words. The king's private secretary reviewed the final schedule one more time. The recording would begin at 11 in the morning, allowing ample time for any necessary retakes while ensuring the message could be broadcast at its traditional 3 o'clock slot on Christmas Day. The crew had already tested all equipment twice, understanding the importance of technical perfection for such a significant annual tradition. As Charles reviewed his speech one final time in his private quarters, he paused at the section dedicated to Catherine. The words felt right, carrying the precise tone of respect and affection he wanted to convey. He had deliberately chosen language that would honor her strength without drawing unwanted attention to her health struggles, focusing instead on the positive example she had set throughout the year. The passage read, "I am deeply proud of my beloved daughter-in-law, Catherine, who has faced her challenges with extraordinary courage and grace. Her strength and dignity have been an inspiration to us all, demonstrating the very best of the human spirit during difficult times. In her quiet determination and unwavering commitment to others, even while facing her own trials, she embodies the true meaning of service that lies at the heart of our royal tradition. These sentences had been crafted with meticulous care, each word chosen for its ability to convey deep respect while maintaining appropriate privacy. The king understood that public acknowledgement of Catherine's challenges required delicate handling, balancing transparency with the family's need for personal space and dignity. The broader context of the year made this tribute even more meaningful. Catherine's health journey had coincided with King Charles's own cancer diagnosis and treatment, creating a period when the royal family had faced multiple challenges simultaneously. The way both had handled their respective situations with grace and determination had strengthened the monarchy's connection with ordinary people facing similar struggles. Queen Camilla arrived at the Blue Drawing Room shortly before the recording was scheduled to begin, offering her husband final words of encouragement and support. She had read his speech several times and completely endorsed his decision to include the tribute to Catherine. Her own relationship with Catherine had evolved into genuine friendship and mutual respect, making the king's words particularly meaningful to her as well. Prince William had been privately informed about his father's intention to reference Catherine in the Christmas message. The future king had expressed deep gratitude for his father's thoughtfulness and support. William understood that public acknowledgement from the sovereign carried special weight and significance, representing not just personal appreciation but official recognition of Catherine's contribution to the royal family and the nation. The technical crew made their final adjustments as King Charles entered the Blue Drawing Room. His demeanor was calm and focused, the result of decades of public speaking experience and careful preparation. The familiar routine of royal broadcasts provided comfort, but today carried additional emotional weight due to the personal nature of parts of his message. The king's equerry stood ready with backup copies of the speech, though Charles had largely memorized the key passages. His delivery style had evolved over his years as monarch, becoming more conversational and personal while maintaining the dignity and authority expected of the sovereign. Today's message would showcase this evolution perfectly. As the cameras began rolling, King Charles settled into his role as the nation's father figure, speaking directly to millions of families gathered around their televisions and devices. His opening remarks focused on traditional themes of gratitude, community, and the importance of coming together during the holiday season. His voice carried warmth and sincerity that immediately connected with viewers. The early portions of the message addressed the challenges faced by communities across the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, acknowledging difficulties while emphasizing resilience and mutual support. The king's own experiences with adversity had given him a deeper understanding of struggle, making his words particularly authentic and meaningful. When he reached the section about Catherine, his tone shifted subtly, becoming even more personal and heartfelt. The cameras captured the genuine emotion in his eyes as he spoke about his daughter-in-law's strength and grace. Every word was delivered with careful emphasis, ensuring that viewers would understand the depth of his respect and admiration. The king's reference to Catherine serving as an inspiration to us all carried special weight coming from the sovereign. Royal protocol typically limited such personal tributes, making this acknowledgement particularly significant. Palace observers would later note that the king's decision to include such words demonstrated his evolution as a monarch willing to show vulnerability and genuine emotion when appropriate. The technical aspects of the recording proceeded flawlessly, but the real success lay in the authentic emotion the king conveyed. His tribute to Catherine felt natural and spontaneous despite being carefully planned, reflecting the genuine feelings that had motivated its inclusion. The balance between formality and intimacy struck exactly the right note for the occasion. As the recording concluded, King Charles remained seated for a moment, reflecting on what he had just accomplished. The words honoring Catherine had been delivered exactly as he had envisioned, carrying the full weight of his respect and affection. He knew that when the message aired the following day, it would touch not only Catherine and William but countless others who had faced similar challenges with their own quiet courage. The crew began their efficient breakdown of equipment while the king prepared to return to his family preparations for Christmas Eve. The formal part of his holiday duties was complete, but the personal celebration was just beginning. Soon, he would join Catherine, William, and the children for the traditional Christmas Eve festivities that brought the royal family together as simply family, away from the cameras and ceremony. The message would air in less than 24 hours, carrying with it a gentle tribute that embodied the very best of royal tradition, acknowledging service, honoring courage, and celebrating the quiet strength that often goes unrecognized but makes the greatest difference in our world. Christmas morning arrived at Windsor with the kind of magical stillness that made even ancient castles feel like cozy homes. The royal family had gathered for their traditional celebration, following customs that had evolved over generations while adapting to modern circumstances. For Catherine, this Christmas held particular significance as her first major family celebration since completing her treatment, marking a milestone that felt both personal and profound. The family's Christmas Eve dinner had been an intimate affair, with close relatives gathering in the castle's more modest dining rooms rather than the grand state apartments. King Charles had been particularly attentive to Catherine throughout the evening, ensuring she felt comfortable and included while being careful not to overwhelm her with attention. His natural warmth and consideration reflected the same thoughtfulness that had motivated his tribute in the Christmas message. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis had been on their best behavior during dinner, though their excitement for Christmas morning was barely contained. Catherine had watched them with the special joy of a mother who had feared she might miss such precious moments. Every laugh, every excited whisper about Santa's visit, every hug goodnight carried additional meaning after a year that had reminded her how precious family time truly was. William had observed his wife throughout the evening, noting the genuine happiness in her eyes and the relaxed way she interacted with family members. The year's challenges had changed them both, deepening their appreciation for ordinary moments that others might take for granted. The strength she had shown throughout her treatment had impressed everyone, but William had seen the private moments of doubt and fear that made her public grace even more remarkable. As Christmas morning unfolded, the family's private traditions continued with gift exchanges and leisurely breakfast conversations. The children's excitement filled the rooms with infectious energy, while the adults enjoyed the rare opportunity to simply be family together without official duties or public scrutiny. These moments represented what the royal family valued most, the connections that sustained them through the challenges of public life. At precisely 3 o'clock, families across the United Kingdom and Commonwealth settled in to watch King Charles's Christmas message. The tradition dated back decades, providing a moment of national unity and reflection that transcended political differences and personal circumstances. For millions, the sovereign's annual address marked an essential part of their Christmas celebration, offering wisdom and comfort during a season focused on peace and goodwill. The first viewers to notice the king's tribute to Catherine were royal watchers and journalists who listened carefully for any unexpected elements in the carefully crafted message. As the words honoring her extraordinary courage and grace filled living rooms across the nation, social media began buzzing with appreciation for the king's thoughtful acknowledgement of his daughter-in-law's difficult year. At Adelaide Cottage, Catherine and William gathered with their children to watch grandfather's Christmas message, as had become their family tradition. The children sat quietly, understanding the importance of the moment even if they didn't fully grasp the significance of their grandfather's words about their mother. When King Charles spoke about Catherine's strength and dignity, William reached over to squeeze his wife's hand, his pride evident in his expression. Catherine herself was deeply moved by her father-in-law's words, though she tried to maintain composure in front of the children. The public acknowledgement from the sovereign carried weight that went beyond personal appreciation, representing official recognition of her contribution during one of the most challenging periods of her life. The fact that King Charles had chosen to share such personal sentiments in his Christmas message demonstrated the depth of his respect and affection. The king's tribute resonated particularly strongly with viewers who had faced their own health challenges or supported loved ones through difficult times. Social media filled with messages of support for Catherine and appreciation for the king's recognition of her strength. Many commentators noted that the royal family's openness about health struggles helped normalize conversations about cancer and treatment, reducing stigma and encouraging others to seek help when needed. Royal correspondents immediately recognized the significance of the king's words, understanding that such personal tributes in Christmas messages were extremely rare. The careful balance between acknowledging Catherine's challenges and respecting her privacy demonstrated sophisticated understanding of modern royal communication. The message managed to be both deeply personal and appropriately formal, reflecting the king's evolution as a communicator and leader. International media picked up the story within hours, with news outlets around the world highlighting the king's touching tribute to his daughter-in-law. The coverage uniformly praised both Catherine's grace throughout her treatment and the king's thoughtful recognition of her strength. The story became a positive example of how the royal family could share personal struggles while maintaining dignity and privacy. Back at Windsor, extended family members who had gathered for Christmas expressed their appreciation for the king's words about Catherine. Princess Anne, known for her direct communication style, told her brother that his tribute had been perfectly pitched, acknowledging Catherine's strength without drawing unwanted attention to her health challenges. The consensus among family members was that Charles had found exactly the right tone and approach. Queen Camilla watched the broadcast with particular satisfaction, having encouraged her husband to express his admiration for Catherine in whatever way felt most appropriate. She had witnessed the genuine affection and respect Charles held for Catherine throughout the year, and, seeing it acknowledged publicly, felt like a natural and necessary recognition of Catherine's remarkable character. The children's reactions to their grandfather's words about their mother provided some of the day's most touching moments. Prince George, with his increasing understanding of royal responsibilities, seemed to grasp the significance of the public acknowledgement. Princess Charlotte beamed with pride hearing her mother praised by the king, while Prince Louis simply enjoyed hearing his grandfather talk about his mummy on television. Throughout the afternoon and evening, messages of support continued flooding in from around the world. Commonwealth leaders, charitable organizations Catherine patronized, and ordinary citizens who had been inspired by her example all expressed appreciation for both her strength and the king's recognition of it. The tribute had struck exactly the right chord, honoring courage without exploiting vulnerability. Catherine spent the remainder of Christmas Day surrounded by family, participating in traditional games and activities that marked the holiday season. The normalcy of these moments felt particularly precious after a year that had been anything but normal. The king's public tribute had acknowledged her journey without defining her by it, allowing her to continue moving forward while feeling supported and appreciated. As evening approached and the family began winding down from their Christmas celebration, Catherine reflected on the unexpected gift her father-in-law had given her. The public recognition meant more than any material present could have, representing not just personal support but official acknowledgement that her approach to adversity had been worthy of praise and emulation. The king's Christmas message would be remembered for many elements, but the gentle tribute to Catherine would stand out as a moment when monarchy showed its most human face. In acknowledging her strength and grace, Charles had demonstrated that true leadership involves recognizing and celebrating the courage of others, particularly when that courage is displayed quietly and without seeking attention. The day concluded with the royal family gathering for evening prayers and quiet reflection, traditions that grounded them in values beyond public roles and ceremonial duties. For Catherine, this Christmas had provided the perfect balance of acknowledgement and normalcy, allowing her to feel honored while continuing to move forward with the grace and dignity that had earned such recognition from the sovereign himself. The gentle tribute had been delivered, received, and celebrated, creating a moment of genuine warmth and appreciation that would be remembered long after the Christmas decorations were put away and normal routines resumed. The days following Christmas brought an unexpected wave of public response to King Charles's tribute to Catherine that surpassed even the palace's optimistic projections. What had begun as a heartfelt personal acknowledgement in the Christmas message had evolved into a broader conversation about courage, family support, and the evolving nature of modern monarchy. The tribute had touched something deep in the public consciousness, resonating far beyond traditional royal watchers. Catherine herself was somewhat overwhelmed by the response to her father-in-law's words. Having spent much of the year trying to maintain privacy around her health challenges while fulfilling her royal duties, she found the positive public reaction both humbling and encouraging. Letters and messages poured into the palace from around the world, with people sharing their own stories of facing health challenges and expressing gratitude for the example she had set. The Princess of Wales had always been conscious of her role as a public figure and the responsibility that came with it, but the response to the king's tribute revealed the extent to which her approach to adversity had inspired others. Cancer patients wrote about finding strength in her example of continuing to engage with life and work when possible. Mothers facing their own challenges expressed appreciation for seeing someone in the public eye handle difficulties with honesty and grace. Prince William watched his wife process this outpouring of support with characteristic humility and grace. Throughout their marriage, he had admired her ability to connect with people from all backgrounds, but her experience over the past year had revealed new depths of empathy and understanding. The public's response to her example confirmed what he had always known about her character, but seeing it acknowledged on such a scale filled him with pride. King Charles observed the reaction to his tribute with satisfaction and some surprise at its reach and impact. Palace officials reported that the Christmas message had achieved record viewership numbers, with many citing the personal nature of the king's words about Catherine as a contributing factor. The sovereign had intended to acknowledge his daughter-in-law's strength, but had inadvertently created a moment of genuine connection between the monarchy and the public. The international dimension of the response was particularly noteworthy. Commonwealth nations reported overwhelming positive reactions to the king's words about Catherine, with many seeing it as an example of the monarchy's ability to show genuine humanity while maintaining dignity and respect. The tribute had demonstrated that royal tradition could accommodate authentic emotion and personal recognition without sacrificing institutional authority. Royal commentators and constitutional experts praised the king's approach as an evolution in royal communication that balanced tradition with contemporary expectations for transparency and authenticity. The tribute to Catherine was seen as evidence of the monarchy's ability to adapt and remain relevant while preserving its essential character and dignity. The careful balance between personal and formal had been achieved perfectly. Behind the scenes at various royal residences, staff members reported an atmosphere of renewed energy and purpose. The positive response to the king's message had reinforced their belief in the importance of the institution they served. Many noted that Catherine's approach to her challenges throughout the year had inspired them personally, making the public recognition feel particularly deserved and meaningful. The charitable organizations that Catherine patronized experienced an unexpected surge in support and attention following the king's tribute. Her work with early childhood development, mental health awareness, and various other causes received renewed focus as people sought ways to honor her example through supporting the causes she championed. This secondary effect of the tribute created lasting positive impact beyond the immediate emotional response. Educational institutions began using Catherine's example and the king's recognition of it as teaching tools for discussions about resilience, courage, and public service. Schools across the Commonwealth incorporated lessons about facing challenges with grace and dignity, using the royal family's openness about health struggles as a way to normalize important conversations about well-being and support systems. The medical community also responded positively to both Catherine's example and the king's acknowledgement of it. Healthcare professionals noted that public figures sharing their health journeys helped reduce stigma and encourage others to seek treatment when needed. The respectful way the royal family had handled health information provided a model for balancing privacy with public interest and educational value. As January progressed and normal routines resumed after the holiday season, Catherine began gradually returning to her full schedule of royal duties. Her first public engagements following the Christmas break were met with enthusiastic crowds and expressions of support that clearly related to both her personal journey and the king's public recognition of her strength. The warmth of public reception was both touching and energizing. The king and Catherine's relationship had deepened considerably throughout the year, strengthened by shared experiences with health challenges and mutual respect for each other's approach to difficult circumstances. Their interactions at public events displayed a natural warmth and affection that had evolved from formal family relationships into genuine friendship and mutual admiration. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis began to understand more fully why their grandfather's words about their mother had generated such positive attention. Their pride in their mother's strength was evident, and they began to grasp the broader significance of the courage she had demonstrated throughout the year. These lessons about resilience and dignity would shape their own development and understanding of royal responsibility. The palace communications team noted how the king's tribute had created a template for future royal communications that balanced personal acknowledgement with institutional authority. The positive response demonstrated that the public appreciated authentic emotion and genuine recognition when delivered with appropriate dignity and respect. This approach would influence how future personal challenges and achievements were acknowledged and shared. International relations experts observed that the king's tribute to Catherine had enhanced the monarchy's soft power and diplomatic influence. The demonstration of family support and genuine care had resonated positively in diplomatic circles, showing that the British royal family exemplified values of compassion and mutual support that translated well across cultural boundaries. The literary and artistic communities also responded to the king's tribute, with various creative works inspired by themes of quiet courage and family support emerging in the months following the Christmas message. The story of recognition and appreciation for strength displayed without seeking attention became a cultural touchstone for discussions about authentic leadership and genuine character. As winter progressed toward spring, the impact of the king's gentle tribute continued to ripple outward in ways both expected and surprising. What had begun as a personal acknowledgement had become a catalyst for broader conversations about courage, family, public service, and the evolving role of monarchy in contemporary society. The lasting effects of those carefully chosen words in the Christmas message would continue to influence how the royal family approached public communication and personal recognition. The tribute had achieved its immediate goal of honoring Catherine's remarkable year while creating unexpected opportunities for positive engagement between the monarchy and the public it served. The gentle homage had become a powerful example of how authentic emotion and genuine appreciation could strengthen rather than diminish institutional authority when expressed with appropriate dignity and sincere intention. As spring arrived at Windsor and the anniversary of King Charles's fourth Christmas message approached, the lasting impact of his gentle tribute to Catherine had become woven into the fabric of modern royal history. What had begun as a spontaneous expression of admiration and respect had evolved into a defining moment that illustrated the monarchy's capacity for genuine human connection while maintaining institutional dignity. Catherine herself had emerged from the challenging year transformed in ways that went beyond her physical recovery. The experience of facing serious health challenges while maintaining her royal duties had deepened her understanding of her role and her connection to the people she served. The king's public recognition of her strength had provided validation that helped her process the year's difficulties while looking forward to renewed service and engagement. The Princess of Wales found that her approach to royal duties had evolved following both her health journey and the public response to the king's tribute. Her interactions with charitable organizations, particularly those focused on health and well-being, carried new authenticity and depth born from personal experience. Cancer patients and their families responded to her with recognition that transcended typical celebrity interactions, understanding that she truly comprehended their struggles. Her work in early childhood development took on additional dimensions as she incorporated lessons about resilience and family support drawn from her own experience. Speaking to parents and caregivers about nurturing children through difficult times, Catherine could offer insights that went beyond research and theory to include personal understanding of how families navigate challenges together while maintaining hope and optimism. Prince William observed his wife's transformation with deep admiration and love that had grown even stronger through their shared experience of the challenging year. The man who would one day be king had learned valuable lessons about leadership through watching Catherine handle adversity with grace and dignity. Her example had taught him about the importance of acknowledging struggle while maintaining forward momentum and positive engagement with life. The influence of Catherine's example and the king's recognition of it extended to their children in ways that would shape their development for years to come. Prince George, now approaching his teenage years with increasing awareness of his future role, had learned about courage and duty through watching his mother face challenges without complaint or self-pity. The lessons about maintaining service to others even during personal difficulties would inform his understanding of royal responsibility. Princess Charlotte had been particularly inspired by her mother's strength and her grandfather's public recognition of it. The young princess began expressing interest in charitable work and helping others, understanding that true royal duty involved supporting people during their most difficult moments. Her natural empathy was channeled toward constructive action, following the example set by both her mother and grandfather. Prince Louis, though still young, had absorbed lessons about family support and love that would influence his character development. Watching his family rally around his mother during her treatment had taught him about loyalty, compassion, and the importance of celebrating strength when it appeared in quiet, everyday forms rather than dramatic gestures. King Charles found that his decision to include the tribute to Catherine in his Christmas message had influenced his approach to royal communication more broadly. The positive response had demonstrated that the public appreciated authentic emotion and genuine recognition when delivered with appropriate dignity. This understanding shaped subsequent speeches and public statements, allowing for more personal connection while maintaining institutional authority. The sovereign's relationship with Catherine had deepened into a genuine friendship characterized by mutual respect and shared understanding of royal duty. Their conversations about balancing public service with personal challenges had enriched both of their approaches to their roles. The king often sought Catherine's perspective on various royal matters, valuing her modern insights and natural empathy. Palace staff noted the lasting changes in atmosphere and approach that had resulted from both Catherine's example and the king's recognition of it. The household operated with renewed understanding that royal service involved supporting each other through difficulties while maintaining the highest standards of public duty. Staff members felt more connected to the human dimension of their work, understanding that they served real people facing real challenges. The charitable sector continued to benefit from the increased attention and support that had followed the king's tribute to Catherine. Organizations working in health, family support, and resilience building reported sustained increases in funding and volunteer engagement. The royal family's openness about health challenges had created lasting positive impact for countless individuals and families facing similar situations. International observers noted that the king's tribute had enhanced the monarchy's reputation for compassion and authenticity on the global stage. Diplomatic relationships had been strengthened by demonstrations that the British royal family exemplified values of mutual support and genuine care that resonated across cultural boundaries. The soft power impact had been significant and lasting. Educational institutions continued using the story of Catherine's courage and the king's recognition as teaching tools for lessons about resilience, family support, and authentic leadership. Students from elementary through university levels engaged with discussions about facing challenges with dignity and supporting others through difficult times. The royal example had become part of broader conversations about character and citizenship. Media coverage of the royal family had been influenced by the king's approach to acknowledging Catherine's strength. Royal correspondents noted a shift toward more respectful and nuanced reporting that balanced public interest with personal dignity. The successful handling of health information and personal recognition had created new standards for royal journalism that benefited everyone involved. The anniversary of the Christmas message provided an opportunity for reflection on the year that had passed and the changes that had resulted from those carefully chosen words of tribute. Catherine had not only recovered her health but had emerged as an even stronger and more effective member of the royal family. Her approach to adversity had inspired countless others while deepening her own understanding of service and duty. As King Charles prepared for his fifth Christmas message, he reflected on the unexpected impact of his tribute to Catherine and the lessons it had taught about authentic royal communication. The success of acknowledging personal strength and family support had opened new possibilities for connecting with the public while maintaining the dignity and authority essential to the monarchy. The gentle royal homage had become more than a moment of personal recognition. It had demonstrated that modern monarchy could embrace genuine emotion and human connection while preserving institutional tradition and authority. The careful balance of personal and formal, private and public, had created a template for future royal communications that honored both individual achievement and collective values. Looking toward the future, the lasting impact of the king's tribute to Catherine continued to influence how the royal family approached their duties and their relationships with each other and the public. The demonstration that quiet courage deserved recognition and that family support could be expressed publicly with dignity had strengthened both the institution of monarchy and the bonds between its members. The story of recognition had become part of royal history, illustrating that true leadership involves celebrating the strength of others, particularly when that strength is displayed without seeking attention or praise. The gentle homage had honored not only Catherine's remarkable year but the values that make both family and monarchy meaningful and enduring in an ever-changing world.